I love reading, and one of the books that I read recently that I absolutely loved was Clean Meat by Paul Shapiro. And I thought, why do I need to read this? I already know everything in here. It was so inspiring. And if you're having a tough day as an activist and you feel like, oh, this is never going to happen, you read that book and you're so inspired that we are on the brink of change. So that, and also Game Changers. I am awful about watching documentaries. I feel like, oh, I already know all this. But Game Changers, I think, was a great movie to show people how easy it is and how you can actually feel better going vegan.
The documentary Game Changers, it's pretty amazing. I'm sure that a lot of other people have recommended it. Nutritionfacts.org, PCRM.org, anything Neil Barnard or Dr. Greger related is going to be amazing. And I'm also a huge fan of my organization, FFAC, Factory Farming Awareness Coalition. We have some really great resources, and if you have any community groups or faith groups or classes that you would like a presentation for about the impacts of factory farming, please feel free to reach out to us. We would love to speak with you. Mercy for Animals is also another one of my favorite organizations. They have really great social media channels and a really wonderful website where you can learn so much more about so many of the different issues within this industry.
Some of the books I would recommend is Heal Thyself by Queen Afua, African Holistic Health by Dr. Layla Africa, for women in particular, Sacred Woman by Queen Afua, Mucilus Diet, get that book. Dr. Sebi recommends that. And also look at Dr. Sebi's lists, food lists on the foods to eat and the foods not to eat. That is very helpful.
Resources with regards to, changing your own consumer habits or going from, eating animals to not eating animals and eggs and dairy and all that. I definitely think that people need to see what's happening to the animals. This is kind of like my personal theory or hypothesis on all this, is that until people are willing to sit down and face the harsh reality of what's happening, we can talk about the environment. People nod their head. We can talk about health implications, but until people see what's happening to the animals, until you watch documentaries like Earthlings or Dominion, or actually go see the animals yourself on those slaughter trucks, I don't think that people will change for good. So my advice or my resource, again, Earthlings or Dominion, or go with a friend or a family member that's already involved in this type of stuff to some type of action where you can see the animals and document that for yourself.
Once start doing the research, you can, read books like this from Vegan Monk, from Amawale Adewale. They've been vegan for years, and their journeys are absolutely amazing and will really encourage and inspire you. There's so many different podcasts on how to go vegan. There's meal planners out there. YouTube is an excellent source if you want to find recipes for anything that you're currently eating that can be replaced. Go on YouTube, type in vegan option 4, and you'll see a ton of videos that will show up. Vegan Outreach has a mentorship program. It's completely free. So you can get a mentor, someone that's been vegan for years, and they will hold your hand, tell you what restaurants to go to. Even if you want to meet them in person, if it's local, they can set that up. So there's so many different options out here for people that want to go vegan. There's really no excuse if you have the desire.
Well, certainly one of the best organizations to get in touch with if somebody's interested in becoming vegan is Vegan Outreach. I've worked with that organization for a number of years. They've got great information, great health information, and lots of resources in order to make the transitions. And Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCRM.org, wonderful information and lots of great stuff there. Also nutritionfacts.org, which is put out by Michael Greger, Dr. Michael Greger. Fabulous information online, and watch his short little videos and learn so much about nutrition.
Okay, so some of the best resources, as an educator, I often have to point people to things. There are lots of great documentaries to check out. For health, I think, Forks Over Knives is a place where a lot of people start. It's pretty accessible. In terms of like online resources, Vegan Outreach has some great stuff. Their 10 Weeks to Vegan can be really helpful for people. If you want to just learn more about how it all works, I think Jonathan Safran Foer's Eating Animals is a well-written and also accessible resource. There, for conservatives, I'd recommend Dominion, written by Matthew Scully, who's a Republican presidential speechwriter. So you get a different perspective there, but still one in line with being vegan. I think at this point you can pretty much Google it or go on YouTube, and there are a lot of great people talking about it. Earthling Ed is another person I think who explains these things really well.
Well, first I will recommend my website, of course, that is totalbodylove.com. There are recipes there. There is a way to ask me questions. You can shoot me Instagram messages with any questions. Let me know that you came from Vegan Link. That would be very useful. So my Instagram is @Gorbacheva-E. So it's just my last name and the letter E. And I like PCRM. I like Cheap Lazy Vegan. She's amazing. She's a YouTuber and she's really funny. She makes a lot of Korean food. The only thing she does not make is seitan, but everything else, probably tofu-wise, she's good. I probably recommend searching by hashtag. Vegan Proteins is a great resource. I love them. They are a couple and they competed in bodybuilding, both of them. They have really good recipes on their YouTube channel. I think they have a recipe book. Isa Chandra Moskovitz has numerous cookbooks. She's amazing. She's an activist, a vegan activist from New York, and she has like plant-based eating for fat loss. Just kick-ass plant-based recipes. I think it's called Post-Punk Kitchen. So it's a hilarious book to read on how they were starting to do this like 20 years ago in New York, and many, many others. She has like the Essentials book.
Well, of course, I want to recommend the Vegan Action website, vegan.org. We have really great resources on transitioning, substituting, especially for baking, really great substitutes for eggs, dairy, making those transitions when you're cooking and baking are really crucial. We have some really great recipes on our website. We have a really awesome newsletter that we send out once a week. Those are all really helpful. There are so many great websites and blogs. So I have this amazing collection of cookbooks that I've collected over the decades that I refuse to get rid of, and I still use them, but I definitely use a lot of online blogs. Minimalist Baker is one of my favorites. Lauren Toyota has I could name so many, and we do have these listed on the Vegan Action website, but it is also really nice. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I've got chickpeas, coconut milk, and chard in my refrigerator. What's something delicious I can make? And I can go online and put in those things and find some amazing vegan recipes. So it's always really great to have these online resources. And then I've got my amazing cookbooks that I can always use as a backup that are really, really great. But I think just finding a couple of folks, especially if you're on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, that are really good, positive role models that are really excited about being plant-based and vegan and really excited about cooking and sharing cooking tips. That is just a really great, powerful motivator. Signing up for a couple of newsletters and getting those really great reminders in your email with tips and recipes really is really helpful.
Vegan Voices. This book expresses the people's journeys and how hard it was for some of them, and the feedback they got from family and friends, some of whom were not pleased by this change, because when one member of a family changes, it changes the whole dynamic. So I would suggest reading about the effect of animal agriculture on the climate, effect on your own bodies, effect on your own spiritual practice. For me, the first book that I read, which convinced me to become a vegetarian, this was back in the 80s, was Animal Liberation by Peter Singer. When I read that book, it exposed the suffering involved in animal agriculture. And I knew I couldn't be part of that anymore. And that's the one that convinced me that I was going to have to do something about this. I couldn't ignore it any longer. And there are several other books, but I would suggest Vegan Voices and Animal Liberation as a start to your reading. So reading and going and watching movies about this, there's a lot of good ones out there. They're on YouTube, they're on every outlet you can imagine. And if you watch these movies and you read these books, then you'll have a choice to make. You can't say anymore that you don't know, because then you know, and then it's a choice.
The books are really good, and now I know a really great book, The World Peace Diet, and people absolutely love the book, and it's in about 18 languages and all that. So I would suggest to read that book, for example, and then go to our videos and research for yourself, because you will discover so many elements which maybe already live in your heart, like having a simpler lifestyle, not consuming, that's also veganism, not consuming that much, to be aware of what to consume, like organic, for sure, read labels, for sure, throw the TV out of the window, for sure. Yeah.
There are so many fantastic resources online. Really, all you need to do is Google. If you're interested in nutrition and if you're concerned about expense, you can just Google budget vegan, and there's so many resources there. There are wonderful videos. I really especially like one by a group called Guideline, and it shows all these athletes who are vegan. And you know, when people say you'll be weak or you can't be strong enough, here are all these world-class athletes who are training on a vegan diet. There's a new documentary called The Dark Hobby about how cruel and environmentally reckless the industry is that collects fish from the wild for aquariums. And also captive breeding also has a lot of animal suffering involved in it. So for people who are interested in keeping fish and can provide a good home for them, we recommend that they adopt them from an animal shelter or a rescue group. Or if you go on Craigslist, or people who need to find a new home for their fish, you know, there's other ways you can obtain fish without supporting this very cruel industry. A new movie out, documentary Seaspiracy, which shows how harmful the fishing industry is. And there's a book, What a Fish Knows, that tells how interesting and admirable and amazing fishes are. On our website, we also have a section on vegan seafood. There are vegan versions now of virtually any kind of seafood, really any kind of food you can imagine. We have recipes and links to companies that make vegan products. There are vegan seafood cookbooks. So anything you have a hankering for, there's a vegan version. On the Fishfield website, we have information about fish, fact sheets, videos, and recommended readings. You can find out more about fish and how you can go about helping them, some of the many problems that they face, and how you can be an advocate for fish and ideally an activist for fish.
Guideline to Optimum Health in the African American Community by Dr. Ushaka Craig. That's a book that I always refer a lot of people to. And Queen Afua, Womb Healing, I can't actually think of the whole name, but Queen Afua, you can look her up. She's very, very powerful. Dr. Drew Pulcrum is another great person. And also look up Dr. Lamar Price, Dr. Lamar Edward Price, Dynamic Health Solutions on Instagram. He's an iridologist and also has traveled the world, and he's studied the whole body. He goes throughout the world to show people about how people in other parts of the world eat from the earth, and they're not walking around with canes, they're not obese or any of those things, and he's also good at helping to reverse problems. So Dr. Lamar Price is one of the most current people that I speak about.
There's so many great films you can watch to be inspired now. Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, Game Changers. The list goes on. There's just amazing voices and personalities now that local vegan festivals like Black Veg Fest in New York City. There's Tabitha Brown, who's like called America's Mom, and she's just this amazing personality and spirit, and chef and mother, sort of doing vegan things on Instagram. There's really a lot of great vegan local festivals and farm animal rescues, and seek these places out. I think they'll just solidify for you why you made the choice, and make it seem really, really exciting, and sort of give you the support you need.
One of my favorites, especially recommending for guys, because I get the macho guy, the alpha male. Meat is for Pussies is a good book by John Joseph. He's a punk rock singer. Get active. Animal activism is important. So I'm in a group called Anonymous for the Voiceless, Animal Activists Group, and it brings you closer, brings a community of other vegans closer to you, and it makes it feel like you're less alone, because there's still not, even in bigger cities, there's still not a lot of vegans out there. So it's a great way to meet others with a vegan lifestyle, and you learn more about veganism. You learn more about what's happening to the animals, because even when I started becoming an animal rights activist, I still didn't even know what was happening to a lot of these animals. So it allows you to speak better on the behalf of the animals, and if you want to help them out, if that you want to be able to know as much information as possible.
And I think it's important to find people, like you, and kind of find your community. Because when I first went vegan, it felt very lonely. I was, the only one pretty much I knew that was vegan, except for, someone that I volunteered with at an animal shelter, that, I'd run into every once in a while. And so, Facebook groups, finding meetups, animal activist groups, in your area. I think, it was a huge sense of relief for me, just to find other people, who felt the same way I did. So even, just Googling, animal activists in your area, animal sanctuaries, starting to volunteer, you can find that community of people, who think like you, and can be your support when you're struggling with, family or friends that don't understand, why you've made this change, or, why you feel this way. And so just having, feeling normal among others, is important when you feel, very different, most of the time. So that can be huge and can really help, to kind of do that right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, like finding people like you, because I remember when I first went vegan, like I would make posts to Facebook about it, and I had nobody on there that was vegan. And you feel so alienated from the world when you feel like I'm the only person that realizes this stuff. I'm the only one that sees it. And it's also much easier for other people to gang up on you and make you feel like you're crazy. And then when you find people that, see things the way you see them and have accepted, reality for what it is, you start to feel stronger in standing up for what you believe in, because like you'll meet people who are mostly around non-vegans, and they tend to take a much more sort of passive approach to it and feel like, oh, I shouldn't be speaking out about this, and I shouldn't, be making anyone feel bad about this. And it's like, once you're around other people that, see how awful it is, you feel stronger that, hey, like, it's not my job to make someone feel comfortable. It's my job to fight for justice, for everyone. And the animals need me far more than someone needs to be comforted in their decisions.
You can go to YouTube, put in nutritionfacts.org, and I'm telling you, videos on science-based videos on every topic you can imagine will come up that will give you lots of good information. I have a website. It's Dr. Milton Mills, plantbasednation.com. Has a lot of good lectures on protein, anatomy and physiology, the microbiome, and other topics posted, papers, and nutritional sources. Dr. Milton Mills, plantbasednation.com. Kind of long, but yeah, that's it. Lots of good reference material there. PCRM.org has a lot of good links on their website for additional information and resources. And then there are scores and scores of really good books. Brenda Davis has she's a wonderful research dietitian who has some excellent books out on diabetes and how to defeat diabetes. Dr. Greger has a book called How Not to Die, which covers all of the science supporting plant-based diets for promoting health. He also has a book called How Not to Diet. There's just too many outstanding plant-based cookbooks to talk about, but one I will give an honorable mention to is called Flavor My Plate, FLAVA, My Plate, which is done by a very good friend of mine. It's a wonderful cookbook. But there's just, again, many, many resources out there that really make getting started in this journey super easy.
The best vegan resources I think are out there. One, and probably my top favorite, is Vegan Outreach. They have some of the best literature. It's factual, it's well written. I think that could be very helpful to anyone. Contact all of them, ask for free information, and decide which one is best for you. For more information about vegan nutrition, I highly recommend Dr. Michael Greger at Nutrition Facts or Dr. Neil Barnard at Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Both have great books and videos on YouTube.
There's so much out there. We're so lucky to be going vegan now and living vegan now. So I would recommend some of my favorite books, such as Eating Animals and Veganist. I would also recommend certain websites for just getting the answers that you need. If you need an answer about food or nutrition, nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Michael Greger's website, is brilliant. He has hundreds of really short videos, all taken from the medical literature, that's going to answer just about all of your nutrition questions. If you want some guidance for just getting started, PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, PCRM.org, has a 21-day vegan kickstart. If you're interested in animal issues, I love PETA. PETA is tried and true. They even have an area called PETA Prime for people over 50. And if you are interested in yoga, as I am, I would love to turn you on to a terrific podcast called Yoga is Vegan. That's hosted by Holly Scotus, and she is out there bringing vegan yogis together and showing the rest of this community that this tradition that brought us ahimsa, that brought us this beautiful idea of harmlessness and reverence for life, is indeed vegan, and we can all live it that way.
We have a website called worldpeacediet.com where we have a training called the World Peace Diet Facilitator Training. So if you'd like to go deeper into veganism and into the deep veganism of how to thrive as a vegan in a not yet vegan world and how to be effective in vegan advocacy, it's an online training that is available. We also have lots of videos. My spouse Madeline does beautiful cooking videos. We have videos of our organic vegan food forest, of yoga and music and art and lots of different things. And there's lots of essays that I've written there as well. So we're happy to stay in touch with people and to encourage anyone who's on this wonderful path of vegan living.